Parashat Devarim. The book of Devarim was originally known as Mishneh Torah, the repetition or the restatement of the Torah. In it, Moses restates, with some additions and some omissions, both the history and legislation contained in the previous 3 books. The Rambam notes that this is a restatement with a difference, addressed not to the priests, but to the people themselves. The nation was about to take destiny into their own hands. But there's also something new. The first verse of the book used a phrase that we have not heard before in the Torah, though it takes a sensitive ear to hear it. These are the words Moses spoke to all Israel in the desert of the east of the Jordan, that is, in the Arava, opposite Suf, between Paran and Tofet, Lavan, Chatzerot, and Dizahav. There's Rabbi Ephraim Lanshutz, in his commentary Kli Yakar, who noted that the phrase Kol Yisrael, which appears 11 times in Deuteronomy, exists nowhere else in the Mosaic books. Until now, the Israelites have been described as Bnei Israel, the children of Israel. Now is the first time they're no longer the children of Israel, they're simply Israel. What does this signify? Until now, the Israelites have been linked vertically by biological descent. They had a common ancestor, Jacob, who was given the name Israel. They were part of the same family tree. They were his children. With a subtle shift from Bnei Israel to Israel, Moses was preparing the Israelites for a new mode of existence. Now, they will be linked horizontally, one to another. They were no longer children, they are about to become moral adults. Their unity was no longer a simple matter of common past. They were about to create a shared future. They will no longer exist in a state of dependency, relying on Moses and through him God to provide their needs, welfare, and safety. Henceforth, they will have to take responsibility for one another. The sages give this horizontal bonded name. Kol Yisrael arevin bazeh. All Israels are sureties for one another, each a guarantor for the rest. The way guarantor takes on another's debt as they were his own. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai captured this in an unforgettable image. People sitting in a boat. One begins to drill a hole underneath its own seat, protesting, "I'm only drilling under my own seat." A people is a boat. There is no such a thing as a private hole. Once the Israelites crossed the Jordan, they would have to become a nation, not just a family. They were about to create a society. They will have to fight wars, defend themselves, institute system of justice and welfare, and learn the necessity for as well as limits of politics. It is one of the ironies of intellectual history that Darwin, often enlisted against religion, gave us one of the greatest arguments for it. He noticed a paradox at the heart of his own system. If life is a struggle in which the strong win and the weak perish, then ruthlessness should prevail. Yet every society honors altruism. Darwin knew it. The bravest and the most self-sacrificing, he wrote, would on average perish in larger numbers than other men, leaving no children to inherit their nobility. His answer, though it cuts against his general thesis, was that natural selection operates on the individual, but civilization operates on the group. A tribe whose members sacrifice for the common good would be victorious over most other tribes. How to get from individual to the group, he confessed, was at present too difficult to be solved. But that is precisely what a covenant does. It binds individuals into a group, turning the I into a we, self-interest to mutual responsibility. The bond that lets a people survive where no individual could survive alone. None of that was necessary in the wilderness, where God provided their needs, fought their battles, gave them food, water, and shelter. God will still be with them, only rarely in the form of miracles. No longer would it be God serving the people, it would be the people serving God. The nation would be defined by the covenant made at Sinai, their constitution, their mission, their destiny. They're about to become not just individuals, but a people. Then Moses and the priests and the Levites said to all Israel, "Be silent, Israel, and listen. This day you have become a people of the Lord your God. Obey the Lord your God and follow his commandments and decrees that I gave you today." This is without precedent. The ancient world knew covenants between kings and their vassals. But here, one party is God himself, and the other is not a king standing in for his own subjects, but the people as a whole. Every one of them a signator, righteous and not yet righteous alike. Many centuries later, another covenant society would open its founding document with the same intuition. We, the people. Hence, the intense peoplehood dimension of Judaism. Today's secular culture is deeply individualistic, and we often think that God is about me, not us. nor is this new. Religion often has been taught as a private engagement of the soul. Plotinus called the religious quest a fight of the alone to the alone. Others called it what a person does in his solitude. Judaism holds the precise opposite. It is not good for a man to be alone. The Parashat Devarim is always read in the Shabbat before Tisha B'Av, and there's a verbal connection between the parasha and the opening of the book of Lamentations. The word icha, how Moses says, how icha could I bear alone your contentions and your quarrels? Lamentation opens with the words, how icha lonely is a city once full of people. The two verses also share the word levada, levad, alone, lonely, solitary. To be alone is not something to celebrate but to mourn. Judaism is a religion not of individuals but of people. Faith does not belong to the private recesses of the soul. It belongs to the life when we live together. Where people meet is where God is to be found. The key relationship is not I, thou, but we, thou. Sickness and bereavement force up in upon ourselves. Yet in Judaism, we pray for the healing for the ill in the midst of the other sick of Israel. And we comfort mourners in the midst of the other mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. Their not aloneness is part of their healing. Likewise, at a wedding, when one in the Shal Brachot blesses God, who gladdens Zion through her children, as if the entire Jewish people, past and present and future, were present and taking delight in the new couple. So deep does this idea go that the word for human life in Judaism, chaim, is in plural, as if life alone was not a life. The word simcha is impossible to translate precisely. It does not mean happiness, joy, or rejoicing. Each of these are experienced by someone alone, where simcha in the Hebrew Bible is always referring to a collective celebration, the happiness we share with others. Jewish law tells us about blessing shechayanu on seeing a friend we have not seen for 30 days. Why this blessing? Because Chani Magel says in the Talmud, either companionship or death. A renewal of friendship is nothing less than a renewal of life itself. Our holiest prayer requires a minyan. We celebrate and mourn in community. Even when we confess in the plural. Hence the remarkable ruling of Maimonides. One who separates himself from the community, even if he commits no transgression, but he merely holds himself aloof for the congregation of Israel, has no share in the world to come. He has committed no sin, except the holding himself a part of his people. Yet that suffices. Judaism is a collective faith. Faith of a community, a people, a nation. This is all the more striking because Judaism is a faith that ascribes radical value to the individual. One who saves a single life is that if he saves the entire universe. Here lies the challenge. Most cultures manage only one side. Either the individual is everything and the community dissolves, or the community is everything and the individual is crushed. Judaism values the individual without being individualistic, a very subtle distinction. When revolutionary France offered the Jews everything as individuals, nothing as a nation, it showed how the modern West could grasp only half of the equation, rights without belonging. Paul Johnson, a Catholic historian and the author of A History of the Jews, said what impressed him most about Judaism is that it managed, better than any other culture, delicate balance between individual responsibility and social responsibility. This is the deep significance of the shift from children of Israel to Israel, from a group of individuals with a common ancestry to a nation bound by a collective responsibility. God did not choose, nor did he make a covenant with individuals as individuals, the righteous, the holy, the pure, the innocent, the upright. He made a covenant with an entire people, righteous and not yet righteous alike. Why? Because that we believe in where God lives, his interactions in the life we share. That is what we seek to sanctify. The relationships between husband and wife, parent and child, teacher and disciple, employer and employee, leader and follower, friend and stranger. That, as against the hyper-individualism of their late capitalist society, is a lesson worth relearning. We find God in the we, not in the I. Shabbat Shalom.